welcome back to Nourish Lifestyle Kitchen. Whenever summer comes, I'm super delighted to get out there and go and pick fresh fruit off the trees. Blackberry, plum, apple, raspberry. Absolutely delicious. There's nothing better than the fresh taste of sweet fruit that you've picked yourself, which is usually always organic as well. So what we have here is some sweet and sumptuous cherry plums. They are perfectly ripe, freshly picked today and ready to go into our sweet and aromatic spiced plum cake. So without further ado, let's get baking. Here I am out in the countryside picking cherry plums. This is one of my favourite spots to just pick them right off the tree. Oh, fantastic. Before you get started, be sure to preheat the oven to 175°C. We're going to start off by mixing all of the dry ingredients together. So what we have here is 1½ cups of flour. I'm going to put that in. We're going to mix it with 1½ teaspoons of baking powder, half a teaspoon of salt. I like to do a large teaspoon of cinnamon, 1/3 of a teaspoon of nutmeg, just a tiny pinch of cloves. Nutmeg and cloves are optional, and this are the seeds from a cardamom pod, a green cardamom. So I'm going to put them in. Again, that's optional. Spice it to how you want, but for me, this combination of spices really works well with the flavour of the plums. It's really sweet, really fragrant. I would recommend trying it with this, and then if you want to make it again, you can alter the spices next time. Next, we're just going to mix these together. The next step is to combine the sugar, the raw cane sugar, with our chosen fat. Fat being butter or coconut oil, depending. If you are vegan, for example, you can just use the coconut oil. If you prefer it to be really buttery, you can just use butter. But for me, I like a combination of both butter and coconut oil together. So we put the 3/4 cup of sugar with the 4 heaped tablespoons of butter, which is about 70 grams. We can also repeat the same quantity, 4 tablespoons of coconut oil. So if you want to just go for coconut oil, it would be 8 tablespoons, and the same with butter, 140 grams or 8 tablespoons of butter. We are just going to mix that for a few minutes with the electric whisk and get it all nice and creamy. Now that the mixture's combined, we can set it to one side and carry on baking. So the next step will involve adding the flour, the milk and the egg, and then beating it on low with the electric mixer. You can actually use a hand mixer for everything, but the electric mixer just makes life a little bit easier and speeds up the process. So in goes the egg. First we're going to beat this on low. Next we're going to add the flour and the milk gradually. What you will end up with is a nice thick batter. The joys of creation in my hand. These cherry plums are so sweet and juicy, sumptuous flavour. I just love them. For the plums, I'm just going to de-seed them. I like to do that just by squashing them and taking the seed out. For bigger plums, it might be an idea to score them with a knife down the middle and take the seed out, but for these, they just come out super easy if I just squash them and take the seed out. Repeat until that's done with all of them, and then you can get them in your cake. Okay, now we're in business. We've got our batter, we've got our plums de-seeded, and we've got a little bit of sugar to sprinkle on top. So let's whack those plums into the old cake mixture. Just evenly distribute them on top, like so. And once they're all on top, we're just going to go ahead and we're going to sprinkle a little bit of sugar just to add that little bit of extra sweetness. And now it's time for the oven. 60 minutes, middle shelf. Keep checking back regularly. Sometimes I like to walk down and look at the pictures on the photo wall taken from my travels around the world, across Asia and South America and Europe, the Americas. And I think I'm so grateful to have experienced these cultures and the different pastimes within these cultures, as well as the fusion of different spices and herbs and ingredients in the food that have been given to us. That smell is driving me crazy. Here it comes. Ah, it's ready. And these plums are so juicy and delicious. The cake's perfectly golden. So I'm going to cut a little slice and tuck in. Woo. Oh. You can see how the plums make it juicy with the sourness on the top and then the sweetness throughout the cake. You could even put some walnuts in here. Walnuts would be complementary to it, but it doesn't need it. Look at that, spongy. Take it with a little leaf of basil. Love it. Get making this today. It is top notch. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this recipe video, please give us a like and a subscribe here at Nourish Lifestyle Kitchen. I'd really appreciate the support as a new content creator. And remember, eat, live, thrive.